Well, to discuss this and other political issues of the week, we're joined by Labor MP Pat Conroy and Liberal MP Craig Kelly. Welcome to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, Craig, how concerned are you about that deteriorating relationship, given what Malcolm Turnbull did this week, the government put in place, obviously concerned about the influence of China in Australian affairs? Was it the right thing to do?
Look, our relationship with China, of course, is very important. But this goes to the fundamental problem we've had with Senator Dastyari. This is where all this has come from. Now, Senator Dastyari needs to answer the question, what did he have to discuss with that Chinese gentleman that he was frightened that the security agencies wouldn't hear? Why did he give anti-surveillance information, put our phones away? Who actually told him about the phones were being tapped? Now, this problem, this shows how damaging this has been to our national interest and our national affairs. So if Senator Dastyari would come forward and answer those questions, maybe that would in the long term help improve our relations with China.
Is that fair, Pat? Is the Prime Minister playing to domestic politics on the issue?
That's the exact problem. What we've seen is the Prime Minister and the government jeopardising our international relationships in the pursuit of petty politics. You saw it with New Zealand, with the Jacinta Ardern affair around Barnaby Joyce, and we've seen it now with China. Now, on the substance, we flagged concern with the national security arrangements around foreign agents, and we've been calling for a register of foreign agents for the last 6 months, so we welcome this legislation. But the rhetoric we saw in Question Time this week was a disgrace. It referred to China as an enemy, all in the vain attempt to try and bring down Sam Dastyari, who's made mistakes and has been punished for those mistakes. But yet again, this government is politicising our intelligence apparatus and national security and our diplomatic relations to get a political skin from the opposition. And you just have to look at who leaked the supposed ASIO briefing to the press. It's clearly come from someone in the government, not the intelligence agencies, they would never do that, but someone from the government has clearly leaked classified intelligence in an attempt to embarrass the Labor Party, and that's the real issue here. The legislation, we'll look at that, it's serious stuff and we'll engage in that, but what we're seeing is a continual politicisation of national intelligence in this country by the Turnbull government.
Well, surely there has to be a broader issue here rather than just singling out one particular politician in order to have such sweeping changes being made to espionage laws.
Look, the espionage, I'm glad that Pat says he's going to support them, which is good news.
So we'll look at the legislation.
Okay, well, hopefully you'll support this legislation. Look, it's also very important. Remember, we have a Five Eyes security agreement between Australia, the UK, the USA, Canada and New Zealand. Now, that's intelligence sharing. Now, this is the problem I said that we have at the moment with Senator Dastyari. How can the US and how can the UK be prepared to share sensitive intelligence information if they think that Senator Dastyari could potentially sit in the government? Well, and this is where all this has come from. It's easy about what is the real security concerns in this nation to me is that we have an Australian senator that goes into an estimates committee and starts quizzing our military officials about information that China's espionage and security officials would be interested in. What also concerns me about our nation's intelligence, that we'd have an Australian senator that would stand up in the parliamentary offices just up the road here, stand in front of the lectern and basically read the talking points about Chinese interests as far as the South China Sea. That is the greatest security threat to our nation.
Well, Craig, you're ignoring the real issue, which is foreign money in the Australian electoral process. We had, for example, the opposition leader, E. Macfarlane, the opposition leader Tony Abbott, receiving $40,000 Rolexes from a Chinese billionaire, which was subsequently returned, but they received them. We had Stuart Robert as a minister going over to China with a fake official ceremony to endorse a mining company. The real issue is foreign money pervading Australian politics. That's why we've introduced legislation last year into the Parliament to ban foreign donations. That's why we refuse to accept them now. That's why we're engaging in the draft legislation that the government's finally brought. That is the real issue. Leave aside the Sam Dastyari issue, which he's never received classified intelligence in his life. Secondly, he's been demoted twice for his lack of judgment. The real nub of this issue is foreign influence in Australian politics, and it starts and ends with money. And that's why it needs to be abolished.
So more broadly, how far should Australia push back to China as far as that influence is concerned, be it financial influence or pure political influence?
Well, obviously, we have to be concerned. We have to protect Australia's own national interest. That has to come first. But we also have to have good relationships with other nations. And this, Pat talks about foreign donations. It was his leader that went to Mr. Wang's house, private residence, to try and solicit a $400,000 donation. So, Pat, don't come and talk about foreign donations as though the Labor Party all has clean hands when your own leader has gone to Mr. Wang's house knowing he won that $4,000.
Your party took $40,000 from Mr. Hong as recently as last year. We've refused to accept foreign donations. We've led this debate. You're following up and you're just trying to score petty political points rather than deal with the substantive issue.
After there was a security advice that this gentleman had security concerns against him, your leader went to his house and solicited a $400,000 donation. So please don't come here.
We've been very clear that the advice around that individual has changed and escalated over time. So at the same time, you're accusing us. There's photos of Mr. Turnbull with Mr. Hong. There's photos of other ministers. You're taking money from him. Your Liberal Party are taking money from him as this security advice has been received. So I'm not pretending that the political parties have been clean in this. We've got to respond to a serious issue. We've put forward concrete steps in an effort to reform the system, and I think we just need to end the politics on this and actually deal with the substantive issues.
I'm hoping you'll support the legislation that we've introduced to the House. I hope early next year we'll have full support and full cooperation from the Labor Party to get that legislation through the House and through the Senate.
We'll engage with it properly.
Well, as far as that's right. Let's move on, because as far as ending the politics is concerned, same-sex marriage.
Yes.
Craig?
Yeah, look, I voted for the legislation.
Yeah.
My electorate came back 58-42, so therefore I was happy to go and vote for that. And it was a very historic day and was a very emotional day.
How did you feel at the
for
time?
many people. I could appreciate that for many people. This was a very big step that recognised and gave legitimacy to their relationship. I think it showed that the idea of having the plebiscite, which it probably should have been a full plebiscite rather than the postal plebiscite, actually worked well. But I still do have some concerns about the issues of religious freedom.
Okay, so it's not the end of the matter as far as you're concerned.
Well,
you would like to see amendments?
Yes, I voted for all the amendments. I'm disappointed all of them didn't get up, or at least some of them didn't get up. We've got the review with Philip Ruddock next year, and I think this is something you have to watch closely. Look, I hope I'm wrong. I hope the issues of religious freedom don't come up, but there's something we should, I believe, be concerned about the way the legislation is structured.
Pat, was it perhaps a slightly bittersweet moment for Labor members in the Parliament, given that you were in opposition, and there were some pointed comments being made about the fact that this was an opportunity that Labor missed while you were in government?
Well, let's be truthful about what occurred in government. Were we too slow at times? Absolutely. But we had a free vote around marriage equality in 2012, the Jones Bill, where 42 Labor MPs and crossbench voted yes. If the Liberals hadn't bound, they're the party of conscience votes, they bound their entire caucus. So Malcolm Turnbull voted against marriage equality in 2012. I'm confident that if they had a free vote, we would have had it passed in 2012. I'm glad it's done now. I think the postal survey was a waste of money and it caused considerable grief in the community. We saw a 20% increase in phone calls to counselling services and other things, but at least it's done now, and I welcome that. That's great news, and it ends a serious case of discrimination that too many Australians have faced for too long.
Okay, well, one issue that still has not gone away, it's going to persist into the new year, is that of citizenship. Pat, we've heard from Labor continually, certainly Opposition Leader Bill Shorten is saying that the matter is settled as far as Labor's concerned. You had the strict regulations. He was confident everyone was above board. But as it's turned out, likely to see Labor members referred to the High Court. Where's it going to end?
Well, we've had two referred to the High Court. David Feeney's case was, I think, unforeseeable. It was a case where he got through the vetting process and documents were lost, and he did the right thing. He's referred himself to the High Court. On the Katie Gallagher case, we're very confident she'll be ruled to be validly elected because she made all reasonable efforts. And let's look at it. She submitted her documents to the UK government 100 days before nominations closed. Sorry, 100 days, but well before nominations closed. It took the UK government 100 days to stamp her document and return it. It took them 2 days with John Alexander in Bennelong. So we're confident our legal advice is grounded that she's made all reasonable efforts, and we shouldn't be held hostage to how long a bureaucrat in the UK government takes to stamp a document. Otherwise, how's it fair that John Alexander got it in 2 days and Katie Gallagher got it in 100 days?
Oh, look, that was about a month ago. Pat was sitting there telling us everyone from Labor was 100% right. We've checked it, we've vetted it. Our procedures are perfect. And what's happened? Poor old David Feeney, the Fido excuse. The dog's eaten the documentation. So it appears that unless his dog regurgitates this paperwork, somehow it appears that David Feeney is in serious trouble before the High Court.
Oh, look, I agree on the face of it, unless he finds his documents, he's in serious trouble.
So the chance the dog could regurgitate them.
Let me make the point. In 2007, he renounced Irish citizenship. It's inconceivable that he didn't renounce UK citizenship at the same time, but he hasn't got the documents, I agree, and he's been referred to the High Court. Nevertheless, let's be frank about it. Our process actually acknowledged problems and people took actions before they nominated to resolve them. There'll be illegal interpretations about reasonable efforts. But this is completely different from the Barnaby Joyce or the John Alexander, where they did nothing. They sat on their hands and did nothing and just treated the electorate with contempt.
Hang on.
They did nothing.
John Alexander, as soon as he knew he was a problem, he resigned from Parliament, which left us short in the Parliament.
But he did nothing in 2010 and 2013 and 2016.
Over the last week of the Parliament, you've had Labor members sitting there knowing that they should have been referred to the High Court and taking advantage of the vote, voting in Parliament to try to defeat legislation.
Mate, how many times did Barnaby Joyce vote when he got referred to the High Court? Not only did he vote in Parliament, he refused to stand down from Cabinet.
You had David Feeney in this week voting against the government using their numbers when he was in exactly the same situation as John Alexander, who did the right thing.
No, it was not the same situation. John Alexander never acknowledged...
You just said he was
he had UK citizenship when he was elected in 2010, 2013, 2016 and did nothing until he got found out by the media.
Well, where it leaves us now is as far as the by-elections that may be forthcoming. There could be another few coming in the new year. Most immediately, though, Bennelong, next week. How's it looking?
Oh, it'll be a tight contest. But John Alexander's been a great local member there. I think he's very well respected in the community. We've seen a disastrous week this week from the Labor Party with the catastrophe of Senator Dastyari, the muck-up they've had with the citizenship. I'm very confident that John will do a good job and get back in, but it will be tight.
Polling has been suggesting that that it is in favour for John Alexander. Yeah. Do you feel, though, perhaps that the vote may be split with other candidates in the mix here? I'm thinking in terms of the Australian Conservatives, for instance, and the Christian Democrats.
Oh, look, I think that the major challenge will be there'll be competing tensions. There'll be some sympathy for John Alexander. Bennelong's got a high ratio of migrants born outside of Australia, so there will be some sympathy for John Alexander versus there is significant anger against this government that obviously we're campaigning on and making this a referendum on the Turnbull government and their appalling cuts to health and education and undermining of the nation. So that's really the competing challenges. But we should be realistic. This is a 10% seat. The closest analogy I look at is Jackie Kelly in 1996 when she was forced to go through a by-election quite soon after the election and she got a swing towards us. So I think we're realistic about it. We're hopeful of winning the seat and we're running very hot. We've got a very good candidate running on really important issues to both Bennelong and the nation. But anyone who thinks this is an easy task is kidding themselves.
Pat Conroy, Craig Kelly, thanks very much.
Thanks again.
Thanks. Merry Christmas.